Right here with the former super middleweight champ Caleb Plant. Caleb, man, what do you think of Armando Resendiz on paper? He's this big underdog and he's fought a lot of fights at 160. But how do you size him up as an opponent?
Tough competitor, and this is his moment. He's moved up to 68. He's got a win at 68, and now looking to seize the big moment. I remember what it was like for my big moment and how bad I wanted it. So I'm expecting him to come in guns blazing, but we got something for that.
Well, you said, you're not just looking to win, but to step on him.
Yeah, win in fashion.
Yeah, can you talk about, because a lot of times for a fighter, it's just get the job done, just get the win. But is it a little bit something different heading into this kind of fight? What's the mentality like?
I mean, in all my fights, I'm looking to go in and put a show on. And sometimes that's winning in impressive fashion. Sometimes you may win a split decision, majority, whatever it may be. But the goal at the end of the day is going there and get my hand raised. But y'all know me, when the bell rings, I'm looking to put on a show. I'm looking to have fun, and I'm looking to dominate. So
you wanted the Berlanga fight. He opted not to do it. But yeah. So if you had your perfect hit list that you could execute your next 3-4 fights, what does it look like for Caleb Plant?
First things first, handling business on May 31st against Armando. And then, if the co-main event, if Charlo handles his business or whoever handles their business, I'm looking for that. Some people were wondering why me and Armando were fighting and why Charlo and Thomas Lamano were fighting. And, I wanted a fight with Berlanga. And like you said, he didn't want that. He opted out of that. And Munguia was busy with Bruno. Canelo and Skol were busy. Who else is there? Pacheco and Mabili were negotiating at the time, and now I think
Pacheco's fighting Trevor.
Okay, yep, Macumbi, yep.
Yeah.
So this was I wanted to fight Charlo, but he wanted to get active and get a fight under his belt, get busy, and so I felt like this was the fastest way towards a big fight that I want. And so here we are, May 31st. After that, hopefully, me and Charlo can run it if he's able to handle business, and then look at the landscape. Berlanga, Munguia. Yeah.
Mabili and Pacheco?
Those guys as well. Yeah, I feel like it might be easier with the business of boxing to get things done with Munguia or Berlanga, hopefully, but Mabili, Pacheco, a rematch with Canelo, I've gotten a lot of experience since that fight, and I'm up for all the big tests.
I try to ask Brett back in LA about like when Michael Jordan came back in 95, 96. He wasn't the Michael Jordan he was in his 20s, but he was just as effective, but doing it in a different way. You're at that same age he was when he came back. Is that kind of the case with you right now? You're just as effective, but in a different type of way, or how would you assess it, Caleb?
I mean, I feel like my skills are as sharp as ever. I think you guys can tell I've been smoothing all the edges of my game. Whether that's my inside game and framing and posting and, doing a lot of slick stuff on the inside, not fighting just fighting on the inside, but boxing on the inside. A lot of guard manipulation, or, I've always been top notch at sticking and moving and boxing. And, I got a great pair of legs, great feet. So I feel like just continuing to smooth the edge of my game, become a more well-rounded fighter overall. So.
No, I asked you the same thing in LA, and obviously you keep the game plan close to chest, but any part of you thinking like, hey, I'm fighting this Mexican fighter, let me show the fans I could fight on the inside like a Mexican fighter better than this guy can, maybe, pick spots to do that in the fight, or? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the gap will close here and there, but I don't have to go out and prove anything or try to impress people. My job is to stick to the game plan, and it's to listen to my coaches. I got a great team with my dad, Brad, Rich, and then, Tony, Stitch. So I got a great team, and it's my job to listen to them and follow the game plan. And but we're also going to be comfortable with wherever the fight goes as well. So I think I showed that in my last fight.
Is part of you at all rooting for Charlo to come back and right his ship? I know you guys have your past, and you're always just focused on what you got going on, but like, what do you make of his situation trying to come back? from everything?
I don't really give it much thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be foolish of me to worry about what he's got going on in such an important time of my life. So that's up to them to figure out. You know, the rightful man will win.
Did you feel
The
like
rightful man will win.
in LA he was serious about wanting to settle things in the ring when you just reading his energy or whatever?
I can't say. I haven't put a lot of thought into that either. He wanted to say something to me, and I wanted to let him know I had no problem approaching him so he could say whatever he wanted to. And I'll keep what he said between us. It wasn't anything with any sort of malice, but I don't put too much into that.
Well, I guess he told us he just said that he wants his fade. He needs his fade in the ring or something like that.
Come get it. Yeah.
You know the old quote from Hagler about waking up on silk sheets, not as easy to get up from them.
Yeah, Trevor McCumbee told me that.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that never the case with you right now?
Because I don't put a whole lot of emphasis in like the silk sheets. That's not like what I crave. You know what I'm saying? If I'm able to buy silk sheets, then that's great. But what I crave is to be a winner, to be a champion, to cement my legacy, to show my children firsthand what it looks like to work hard at something. And have I fallen short a couple times? Yeah. But I did it with integrity. I did it the way a warrior would do it. And showing my kids firsthand, you fall short, you get back up, dust yourself off, and you keep going. That's no reason to quit. So I want to see how much I can rack up before, my time expires. It's time for me and my, family to ride off into the sunset. And that's a ways away from now. But in the meantime, I'm looking to dominate.
So you got Charlo's a fight you're obviously looking forward to. How do you keep yourself mentally focused on the task at hand here and not looking forward?
I mean, I'm an elite athlete. I've been doing that my whole life with things going on around me, things going on at home, this crumbling, this falling apart, this going on, and I still had to go in the gym and, lock in on the task at hand. And, I've been doing this since I was 9. And I had, shit going on that could distract me then and all through my life. So, I've had plenty of practice of compartmentalizing and focus on the task at hand. And so.
Speaking of things going on around you, a couple weeks after this fight, you'll be due to have another child. How does that affect you at all, your mentality preparing for this fight, or is that something you kind of block out as far as the training sessions or training?
I block out a lot of it, but if anything, just added motivation. He's due this summer, and I want to bring him in on a good note, coming off a win with my hand raised. Still got my belt, so just motivation.
All right, guys, one last question.
And then boxing's had a couple non-thrilling fights over the last couple of weeks. Do you kind of see yourself as having to redeem the sport a little bit, put on a more exciting performance, or is that not anything to do with you?
It's nothing to do with me. I mean, some of those were tactful game plans that people put together and stuck to, whether the crowd liked it or not. Some of them were just bad stylistic matchup where the X and O's don't really line up as well. You get that in all sports: hockey, football, soccer, basketball, and then some of it was somebody had the perfect stylistic matchup in front of them, and they were able to shine and look good. So it happens in all sports. But I don't really feel any extra pressure to go out there and I have to do this, I have to do that. I want to go out there and put a show on. I get to go out there and put a show on. It's not like I look at it as added pressure that I gotta redeem the sport. But with that being said, I feel like all my fights are exciting. This one will be no different.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Caleb.
guys.
Thanks, Caleb.